Hey, what's up everybody? It's Red here, and today I'm going to be making a tier list of all the Mustangs that I can think of. I'm not really going off of generations, like these are all technically the same generation, but I just feel like this Mustang, 1964 to 66 is a little bit different than the 1967 and obviously the 69 and the 73. And then I also did a little difference between the 2011 and the 2014 because they may be the same car, but I just feel like there's so many differences in them that I have to make them a little bit different. And the same with all the S550s, they're different than each other too. And yes, I did include the Mach-E because it is a Mustang, even though we don't like it. But anyways, let's get right into the video. So the original 1964, 1966, the OG, I would say as far as styling, it's one of my favorites, but not my favorite personally. But it started everything. If Ford didn't just do amazing with this car, we don't have the Mustang today. But I mean, I guess this is also the birth of Shelby too. This is where Shelby GT350 started. When was the GT500? So this Mustang is where the Shelby GT350 that we all know was born. The Mustang in general was born. The coupes, the fastbacks, all of it. All the heritage of the Mustang comes back to this model right here. As far as heritage and stuff goes, obviously it's an S tier. As far as styling and everything goes, A tier. I mean, okay, look, performance, obviously if you compare this to like the Mach-E or the new one, it's going to be D tier. I would say overall, I'm going to put it A tier, and it's mainly just because that heritage. All right, next up we have the 1967 and 68 Mustang. I feel like everything they did with the previous model, they just made it so much better in this one. If you look at it, it's a little bit different on the styling cue. It's about the same, just a little more tuned out, I feel like. There's so many more engine options on this model. This is where the 428 V8 was born, and it had 335 horsepower back in 1967, which is absolutely insane for the time. And then it also was the birth of the GT500, which we all know and love, and the Mustang Bullet, which appeared in C. McQueen's film. Now look, this, I mean, performance for its time, A tier, styling, S tier, heritage, S tier. I feel like it's like, this is almost an S tier car, and it's just updated on that and is a little bit a better version of that in my opinion. So I'm going to put this one S tier. Guys, keep in mind, when I'm making this tier list video, it's my opinion. I'm not saying anything that's facts. It's just what I think about these cars. So, all right, now we have my personal favorite Mustang of all time, the 1969-1970 Mustang, specifically in the fastback of this model. My good, where to even begin? This car is beautiful. They got the styling spot on with this car. In my opinion, there is not a better looking Mustang that you can have. And they had the Boss 429, the Boss 302 that came out. They still had the Shelby GT500 and GT350. Granted, I will be honest, the Shelbys of this generation don't look as good. I will admit also the coupes, in my opinion, on this model don't look as good as like these two. I think these two had the best looking coupes. But the coupes in the 1969-70 models are still pretty fire. But the fastback is just chef's kiss. Easy S tier, but no question about it. If you disagree, I just think you're wrong, honestly. I also almost forgot, but this was also the birth of the Mach 1. Oh man, now we go into the big nose. I have a love relationship with these things more than most people do. I think the fastbacks are gorgeous, and I've almost owned a couple. The coupes though, and look, this is no offense to anybody that owns the coupes, I do not like the coupes in these cars. I just feel like that long nose does not fit the back, like the coupe design. So in my opinion, in these you either get a fastback or you don't get the car. But I still respect anybody who's put time and effort into their coupe, because it's cool to see old cars like this live. But I don't think there was actually any Shelbys of this generation either, so that kind of takes some points off. We still had the fastback, and they had a Boss 351 in 1971, but other than that, that was really your only trim options. So I'm probably going to put this one a B tier, as much as I want to put an S because I love these cars a lot. It's just so much missing here. Now we go into, my opinion, the not so great generation of the Mustang. I'll admit the Cobra of these are so cold, but you don't get a Cobra. These things are ugly. I gotta be real with you. And I've heard like their like suspension and everything's cool, but nah, I can't. And I don't think these things even came with the V8. I don't think they did. And this is honestly going to be my first it's between C and D. I'm going to put it in D just because I don't think any other model is going to be in D tier. If we were just talking about the Cobra, it'd be in C tier. But man, I'm telling you, the rest of the Mustangs that aren't a Cobra of this body style are not good, and they drop it all the way down to D. All right, next we have the first Fox body that came out. Now, when I was a kid, I absolutely hated Fox bodies, like with a passion. I could not stay in these things. But now that I've grown up and I'm an adult, they've kind of grown on me low key. More so the second generation of the Fox body, but the first one's not bad either. I would probably put the first one as a C tier and the second as a B. And that's just my personal opinion. I just like the looks of the second generation better, but they're pretty solid cars. And I would actually love to own a Fox body one day. I just feel like they'd be a lot of fun, especially in a manual. But these cars, cars, they just look so different than every other Mustang. And I guess you could say that they kind of took a little bit of inspiration from this, kind of grew into these. So maybe the Mustang 2 wasn't that bad, but nah. Next up, we have it's right before the new Edge, but I don't know. These things always look so lapped and just riced out every time I see them. But low key, if they're built good and nice, they're a pretty solid car. Like, I'm not gonna hate on them too much, but what it's doing with the front end just doesn't look that good. I'm probably gonna put it C. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Like, and these are just clapped like every time you see them. However, when you get to like the new Edge Mustang, Terminator, everything, that's an A tier. The performance you got out of these cars, got the Mach 1. I think the Bullet came back in this generation of Mustang. I mean, there's just not much to hate on with these cars. My only thing is the V6. Well, maybe for the time the V6 wasn't underpowered, but you go back and look at the V6 in today's standards and them things are just astronomically slow. All right, next we have the good old 3-valve. Best sounding Mustang, in my opinion, hands down. We have the return of the Shelby. Pretty mean looking car. I watched a guy on YouTube. You guys might know him, Drew Peacock. I honestly didn't like these cars that much until I watched his YouTube channel and these things grew on me. It's just you see so many that are just clapped and beaten and just not well taken care of, and that kind of drops them down a little bit. But man, let me tell you, when you see one that just had all this effort built into it, all this love, got a good exhaust on them, they sound incredible. I could put them up to A if they are just absolutely fully built, well taken care of. Oh man, they clap. Sometimes I put them in C, but my personal opinion, I'll put them in B. I don't feel like they do anything really special necessarily, but man, they do get the job done, and there are some clean builds. And we had the return of the Shelby, which gives them bigger edge. No, I'm not gonna put it in front of the Fox Body. I like the Fox Body more. Oh man, I love those cars. I actually kind of want to own one. Now next we have 2011 and 2012. The styles between 2013, 14 and the 3-valve, but it's got the 5.0 motor. It released the 3.7, which a lot of y'all hate on the V6, but it was the first motor to have 300 horsepower and get 30 miles per gallon. So both motors were just game changers in the car industry. Now I will admit the V6 option having 273 gears was not cool, but the 5.0, it's just a sick motor and you can do so much with it. I feel like the styling is, you know, still mean and everything. I'd probably put it even over the Fox Body, mainly just because the powertrain, but I like the styling in the Fox Body a little better. But they're really good cars. But now where the bread and butter is this 2013-14. It pretty much takes everything that I didn't like about the 2011 to 2012 and just makes it 10 times better. I mean, those taillights are the best taillights any Mustang has ever had, in my opinion. They kind of remind me of the 69, 67 taillight, and they just look so mean and aggressive, but kind of modern. Like, even in today's standards with cars, they look a little bit modern to me, and they're just one of the best cars you can get. Best Mustangs. I love them. Hands down, S tier. All right, now I gotta try to keep my bias away from this. I'm still gonna put the S550 first generation as an S tier car. Look, in my opinion, out of all the S550s, it has the best looking headlights, best looking tail lights. It had the Shelby, well, it didn't have the GT500, but it had the Shelby GT350 in this run, and I don't know, it's so different from the S197, but looks so good. And when they first came out, I remember, because I was 16 at the time, and I thought these things were ugly and these were the better one. But now that I've grown up and I own one, I don't know, I like it better than the S197. Oh, actually, hold on, I gotta switch this up a little bit, but I like it better than the S197, and that's probably just because I'm biased and own one. But I mean, they released the EcoBoost, which is a really good 4-cylinder car. I know y'all hate on 4 and 6, but when they're pushing 300 plus horsepower out of a little 4-cylinder and you can tune it and be faster than a 5.0, you can't really hate on that too much. And you still have that 3.7 option, which is a really good motor. Gets you up to 300,000 miles if you take care of it. Put a turbo on it, you're pushing 600 wheel, and then you still have that monster 5.0 in there on top of the Shelby options you can get. It's just really, you can't hate on the 2015 to 2017. Ford was whooping some ass back then. All right, now we have the 2018 to, I think it's 2023 is when this run ended. They really didn't change much. They got rid of the 3.7. They added the Bullet, the Mach 1. You still got the 5.0 and the EcoBoost, which had fixed its problems, because I know they used to call it the Eco Boom because the first generation of those EcoBoosts were not good motors, but they fixed other issues. You had the return of the Shelby GT500. I think taillights, they're really not much different. They got a little bit of a different shape than the 2015 to 17. I think the taillights are better than the new Mustang. I like the headlights in the new Mustang better than the 2017, but I don't know. I feel like I don't want to put it in S tier because I've already got 4 up there, but I'll put it in A, where it's borderline going to S, because it really is pretty much the same car as the 2015 to 17. They just changed the design a little bit, upgraded the interior. I forgot to say that about the 2015 and 17. We did have a calculator screen on that run, and a lot of people hated on it, and I can't blame you. Man, my bias. I'll admit I'm biased here. I know that this car is better than this car because of the interior, performance options, and in some people's opinion, styling. I just have such a connection with the 15 and 17s because I own one. But I'm gonna put this in A tier, and y'all can comment on how wrong I am on that. Just flame me in the comments for it. I know I'm biased, and I'll admit it. Next, we have this new one which introduced the dark horse, and look, we all hated this thing when it came out, but this shit is growing on me. I'm seeing them in person. I am loving these things. Look, I'm gonna put it A tier, even above. Nah, I won't put it above that, but I think it will be once it grows on everybody. They released a dark horse, which in my opinion, a little bit overpriced. Just get a GT, build that thing, but this thing's beautiful. Seeing these in person is eye candy. And plus, they got the dual intake thing going on. I'll be honest, I don't really know how much performance that adds, but I think it looks cool. I fuck with it. I fuck with the new Mustang's hardcore. A tier, no questions asked, but I will put the 67 above it. All right, next we have the Mach-E. Look, you guys are gonna hate me for this, but as far as just a car goes, I mean, it's got decent styling. I'm not big on electric, but if you're going for a daily driver, low-key, probably not a bad car. I mean, it's got room, it has good range, got good performance, not bad on the styling, got technology in it. Like, it'd probably be A tier if it was just, you know, going off a car. What they did is they slapped the Mustang name on it, and in my opinion, a Mustang is a two-door sports car, not an SUV. And like, yeah, you can say like, oh, they're just adapting to the times or whatever. No, name it something else. You could have just named it the Mach-E, but they wanted to get sales up for this thing. So for that reason, since I don't consider it really a Mustang or even really a sports car in my opinion, but I'm gonna put a D tier. I mean, it's not a bad car. It's the fact they threw the Mustang name on it, which ruins it for me. Anyways, guys, this is my tier list. Let me know in the comments what you think, what you would switch around. I know I'm biased on the 2015 and 17. I'm admitting that, but yeah. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe, and again, comment down what you think about the tier list and what you would change and what your favorite model of Mustang is.